As you can see on the screen here, the Back for Blood Halloween event is here, and this October update has a ton of stuff that is going on in it. Before we get to the meats and guts of all the details and updates, let's go ahead and just take a little peek around Fort Hope. See some of the cool stuff they have going on here. Lots of pumpkins, lots of jack-o'-lanterns, lots of lights. We have this fancy schmancy cauldron right here, and the person heating their hands up next to it, per usual. And then in the shooting range here, we got some cool stuff as well. You can go ahead and shoot the pumpkins, and they create like little sounds and wispy little doodads if you want to go ahead and play in here. Just feel festive for a little while. Also, if you were to go walk on over to Chenda or to just the supply lines tab over here, hey, there's actually new stuff for me to unlock in here, such as these things. So if you haven't gone ahead and done that, go ahead and get yourself some new stuff. Doesn't even seem like it's that expensive, so that's pretty sick. And speaking of updates and new things, something you can do in the supply lines is press unlock all, and it will tell you how much it's going to cost, and then you just unlock all of the things rather than having to go click, 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 which is pretty sick. But let's go ahead and keep going through a lot of the changes that are happening here. In fact, as long as we're in this menu here, let's talk about some of the changes to the cleaners. One of which is Jim. If you go ahead and take a look at Jim here, Jim now had his ADS speed swapped on over to reload speed. It says 25% reload speed, but that's not all that's changed with Jim. You can't really see it here in the menu here, but Jim now starts with a Phoenix rather than an M1A. So pretty sick changes for Jim if you are a Jim fan. And then he still has his massive damage that he can get and still has the team weak spot damage. Another thing that changed completely here is Heng. Heng's just totally different. Nothing about him's the same, almost. So let's talk about what Heng does differently so we can work our way through it. Heng restores an additional 1 trauma when consuming food, and gains the effects of food consumed by other cleaners. Plus food spawns, plus 1 health stamina for each food consumed is his team effect. Now, there's a bit more going on here, so let's talk about all that. So other things that are going on with Heng. Now it says if somebody else picks up, let's say Peaches, that's 5 trauma, right? Well, that means Heng also gets that 5 trauma. That's what's listed here. However, if Heng picks up a food item, he basically gets it twice. So if Heng picks up Peaches, he's healing 10 trauma. So double the stuff going on here for Heng. Also, when it says plus food spawns, what that means is Heng puts an extra 10 food on the map. That's what he's set to do, an extra 10 food. And the team effects means if anybody on the team picks up a piece of food while Heng is on the team, that person will get 1 max health and 1 stamina extra for the rest of the map. And you'll see it on the bottom of the screen. There'll be a little Heng face. That means that you have that much extra max HP until the end of the level. Okay, so I'm going to load on in here, and something you'll notice immediately is in the bottom left-hand corner, Bolstered health has changed. In case you are wondering what that blue stuff is, it is just Bolstered health. Nothing more to it. It's just a change. It used to overlap your white health. Instead, what it does now is just extends to the end of your health. Another thing you'll notice if you go load up into something like Handyman here that has timed hordes is that the timed hordes icon that used to, not the icon, but the numbers, I guess, that used to be on the left-hand side of the screen is now all encapsulated in this little icon over here. This icon is a timer as to when the horde's about to come. It also has different states, so this is, I'm about to count down for a horde. When it's red, that means there is a horde, and if there's a red with an infinity symbol, that means there's an infinite horde. Sometimes it's not always accurate, but those are the 3 different states that it has, so go ahead and pay attention to the top right-hand corner of the screen if you are worried about timed hordes. And now if I were to go ahead and run out here and pick up some food, what you'll see is that little Heng icon. That means I just picked up a piece of food, so I get plus 1 max HP and plus 1 extra max stam until the end of the level, and then those can stack, I think, up to 10. Now, another really big part of this update is the legendary cards. There's 5 new legendary cards, and these legendary cards are in these special card shrines that you can find scattered throughout the map, and if you find the card, you can pick it up for free. Okay? And one of those cards is called Unnatural Healing. So if you go ahead and take a look in here somewhere, where do I have it? Right here. And actually, these are really cool because they're animated. But for Unnatural Healing, it basically kind of works like break time, where if you don't take damage for X amount of time, then you will start to regenerate health. In fact, 5 health per second. So if I go ahead and I take some damage here, and then I go ahead and I walk out of the damage, shortly after, I'll go ahead and I'll just start magically healing, which is incredible. So, ta-da, just like that. An extremely powerful card. Now, something to keep in mind with these legendary cards is there are only 1 of them in each card shrine. Some of them are team cards, some of them aren't. I think eventually we're going to turn them all into team cards because that way people don't have to compete for them. But as of now, some are team cards, some aren't. So talk with your team as to who's the best to have it, because some of these are a little situational, so let's keep going through them. So what you may notice in front of you right now is this pile of dead people. Something cool about dead people is that if you happen to have the card Emergency Transfusion, which is sitting right here, what it does is it gives you 1 extra life, and you receive the ability to revive a dead teammate by consuming one of your own lives. But be careful, if you don't have any lives left to give, you'll sacrifice yourself in order to bring them back. So let's just take a peek at what this is like. I have 2 lives right now. And then it pretty much acts like a slow motion defib. Oh, thanks for reviving me. It makes a cool little sound when you revive them. And you notice that my strikes in the bottom left are disappearing. Now, in the case of Hoffman here, I have no lives left to give, except for my own. So it's a pretty neat little card where you can go ahead and, I mean, potentially have a really strategic move. Like, let's say somebody died and they had the toolkit, or let's say you're alive and somebody else has a bunch of defibs on them. You revive them, and then maybe you might die, but then you go ahead and you get them back into the team, and then they can go ahead and defib a bunch of people. There's a bunch of situations where this could play out. Mostly, it's just a fun card. At the very least, it's like a free defib every single round if you're in a difficulty lower than No Hope. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot to mention, we should talk about that. No Hope has matchmaking now, in case you haven't checked it out. We'll take a look at that in a second. Another pretty sick card here that came with the legendary set is called Explosive Boils. Oh god, come here. And if you take a peek right there, that's the Explosive Boils effect. So I don't know if I have anything else near me that I can go ahead and blow up, but actually, let me see if I can get a good hit on this tall boy here. Oh my god! So that's what Explosive Boils does. So if we go ahead and we take a look at Explosive Boils, it's basically broadside on steroids. When your team gets a precision kill against a mutation, a powerful explosion is created that damages nearby Ridden. And it changes based on how big the Ridden is, so Stingers are the smallest, Reekers are kind of medium, and then Tall Boys are the biggest. I think Snitchers and Cultists are also included on that. So go ahead, have fun with Explosive Boils. No shame in picking it up on whoever picks it up because it's a team card, and it's actually really, really good. Ooh, let's see if I can get this one to trigger here. Stay away from me! Ooh, there it is. There's the stink. Let's go inside of it. So this is another effect of one of the legendary cards. This one's called Smells Like Victory. So if we were to go ahead and take a look at our cards here, it says Smells Like Victory. Mutations that you kill have a 50% chance of spawning a healing cloud that can heal teammates for 5 seconds. So, go ahead, step on in if you see that green cloud pop in. This is another one of those individual cards, so whoever is the person holding it is the one who is going to go ahead and make the effect happen. So it's probably good to give to your sniper. That being said, anybody can walk into the cloud and get some healing. Something else we should talk about here is these little guys, the tchotchkes, or the mementos. These little things are things that you can pick up, just like this, and they help you get more supply points if you do pick them up and collect them. There's also a card dedicated to them. We'll go ahead and take a look at the card that's dedicated when we look at cards, but those are called the mementos. So go ahead and check them out, get yourself some extra supply points. And to be clear, there's nothing else special about them. You don't go ahead and have to hold them. They don't go ahead and take up an inventory slot. They don't have anything inside of them like duffel bags did. It is purely just pick it up, have fun, extra supply points. Now let's take a peek at our last legendary card here. I'm going to pick up some copper, and what you'll see here is a coin flips, and you hear a sound. And you'll also see a little icon on the bottom of the screen. Now, what you saw is it said plus 5% extra damage. So if we go ahead and we take a look at the active cards here, it's called Heads You Lose. Each time you pick up copper, a coin flips. If you win, gain a stack of 5% extra damage. If you lose, all stacks are reset. Now, I'm pretty certain that this should be a team effect, because anybody on the team that picks up copper should go ahead and be able to have this effect happen to them. So let's say you pick up 3 pieces of copper, you got 3 stacks, but then your teammate picks up a piece of copper, doesn't affect your stacks. Your stacks only affect your stacks. This should be listed as a team effect here. So if I were to go ahead and here again, I flip a coin, and I got another stack, so I'm at 2 stacks, which means I have 10% extra damage. And then if I pick up this one right here, let's see what happens. Ooh, we lucky right now. All right, let's try these. I kind of want to get the bad effect. Oh my god, how is this happening?
Every copper adds.
Stop it! Okay, we got 3 more. I literally have never, in all my testing, had a streak that went up to 6. What is going on? Oh, so that's what happens. There we go. So you lose all your stacks, which I had 7, which is 35% extra damage. You lose all your stacks on an unsuccessful flip. So if you're anywhere near as lucky as that was, you're gonna have a lot of extra damage if you happen to run into this card. Have fun. Now there were a ton of card changes, a ton of buffs. So I'm just gonna try to rip through these as fast as I can, and then if you need to go ahead and re-listen to me, rewind the video, okay? So, reload drills had swap speed added to it, so now it's a little bit nicer than it was before, especially for those admin reload people. Rousing speech had a bug with it where the team reduced in-cap trauma wasn't stacking properly. It now does, so you're going to get more out of it if you stack it. Medical expert now works with healing efficiency, and actually if you take a look, a lot of these cards that work with healing efficiency have a little tooltip attached to them now in case you've ever been wondering. So the healing efficiency part of this isn't the team effect part, but it's the part where you get extra trauma healing. Trauma is going to be affected by healing efficiency on Medical Expert, and also a bunch of other cards like Field Surgeon, Medical Professional, stuff like that. Glass Cannon, I think, has a bug with it right now where it's minus 30 health rather than minus 30% health, so have fun with that. Stealthy Passage, I believe, can now disarm some of the cultist stuff like bear traps and maybe the little green traps, I think. Experimental Stimulants kind of got a side grade because it now does more damage and more reload speed, but it also kind of got some of the expired T5 stuff where it's down to 7 seconds and its cooldown went up. Okay, so front sight focus I believe has recoil control now, so that's actually nice. Like maybe one of those Belgian folks out there that likes to go ahead and have a little bit of all these stats. I guess aim speed doesn't matter, but a little bit of all these stats and doesn't want their gun to keep kicking up. Combat training, speaking of Belgians, now has a huge buff for bullet stumble damage. Not so much of a big buff for melee stumble, but a huge bullet for huge buff for bullet stumble damage, especially when you consider each one of those bullets could be a pellet. So I don't know how many pellets the Belgian has, but either way, big buff for the Belgian and the TAC, or pretty much any shotgun. Antibiotic Ointment went ahead and made its temporary health go from 10 to now 20 that you get from when you heal somebody. Again, I say temporary health went up to 20. Field Surgeon got the healing efficiency treatment. Inspiring Sacrifice got a buff. It now does basically the same amount of healing it did before, but it does it faster. Combat Knife now goes ahead and hits multiple targets again like it used to. It's not as fast like it was and it was overpowered, but it hits multiple targets again. Ammo for All got a buff. It's now 3.5% damage for your team. Which, in my opinion, if you have a full team, instead of 4 of you running something like, I don't know, Confident Killer, the 4 of you may as well run Ammo for All and basically get just as much damage, but also have way more ammo capacity. Medical Professional had its numbers drop from 15 to 10, but again, it went ahead and had the healing efficiency thing added onto it. Experimental Stun Gun now goes ahead and costs 30 ammo instead of 20, and I should clarify a little bit more on Medical Professional. You might be like, well, 15's down to 10, well, that stinks. But now since it scales with healing efficiency, if you have EMT bag, you can go ahead and basically be back up to 15, and then all the other healing efficiency you have just adds more to the pile. So this is a buff for people that play Medic. It's a bit of a nerf for people that just wanted to slap it on because they knew it was an overpowered card. Okay? So let's go ahead into the second deck I have here. Crippling Frequency also went ahead and got changed. Its incoming damage reduction went from 2 to 1, so that's a huge nerf, but it's still really good. And then also it no longer stacks, so you can't sit here and stack to like 30 or 40 stacks if you time it properly like you could before, because that was a bug. Expired T5 got a huge change. Instead of this really big damage over time, now it's a big burst of damage, and it does a lower amount of damage over time. And in case you're wondering what these numbers look like, again, this is weak spot damage with fire. So if it's weak spot damage, it's going to be 2 times no matter what. So the 1 damage per second is a 2, and then if you have pyro, that brings it up to 4, and then you put more weak spot in, you bring it up to 8. Like, you can still really slam this thing just with the damage over time, on top of the fact that it does 20 damage on its initial explosion now. So if you really pump that thing up, you're basically getting yourself a get out of jail free card. But again, it has a cooldown that went from 25 seconds to 35 seconds, and instead of lasting for 10 seconds, it now goes for 7. So it's been reworked. Let me know what you guys think of it. It's no longer going to dominate every single thing it sees, but it's still a really powerful save your butt card. Canned Goods got changed, where it's 45 health now instead of 40, and its stamina went down to 25, or minus 25% rather than minus 30%, so big buff for Canned Goods there. Durable went ahead and had fire resistance added to it, which I believe is the first card to get fire resistance. I mean, outside of the Damnation, which has fire immunity. I think it also has more health than it did before now, too. Ignore the Pain has one of the biggest buffs in the whole patch, because the amount of health you get from a mutation went from 1 to 2, so it's doubling its effect, but also it's affected by healing efficiency now. So Ignore the Pain is absolutely bonkers with something like the Claws up against a mutation. Heavy Attack now uses up less stamina, I believe, and I think you move faster with it. Offensive Scav now it provides 5 extra offensive items on a map rather than 4. So if you have like 4 people running this, you get like an extra 20 offensive items a map. It's ridiculous. Second Chance now has bleed out resistance. I think it also has extra health. Ultrasonic Wound Therapy had its ammo cost increased, but it also goes ahead and has 6 health over 7 seconds instead of 7 health over 7 seconds. If you do the math on it all, it's still better than a bandage, I'm pretty certain. So, still a really good card. You just have to go ahead and use it strategically and not just burn through ammo constantly like people were before with it. Out with a Bang goes ahead and loses its extra life. Grenade Pouch now has -5 offensive accessory costs. So if you go into the vendor, you'll see everything's a little bit cheaper. This is inherently a team effect. Everybody gets a cheaper vendor. So if 4 people run this, that's minus 20% offensive accessory cost. Okay? I know I'm going real fast here. Double Grenade Pouch no longer has a bad side. Surplus Pouches brought down from -10% health to -5. You might notice its brother-like Box of Bags over here still has -10. You might be like, well, that's not neat and tidy. Reason being is if you took a look at the stats for this stuff, Surplus Pouches was performing worse than Box of Bags and Tool Belts, which is why this card is the one that got a buff and the other ones didn't. Life Insurance was changed. It's now 2 extra lives and only 10% reduced in-cap trauma. So 2 changes there, arguably a buff in my opinion though. Lucky Pennies, not sure if it got fixed. I think it did. You guys let me know. And then there's actually more changes going on here. So let me just go to the end of the things here, and I think we can just kind of burn through the last couple of them here. If I missed any, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm just kind of trying to go off of memory here because there's so many of them. And if we go ahead and we take a peek at the last couple of ones here, I believe the remaining big changes would include something like Belligerent. Oh, and the Ugly Tchotchkes. This is the new card we were talking about, the Ugly Tchotchkes. This is the thing that makes it so more of those mementos spawn. You can get more supply point stuff. Oh yeah, Food Scavenger also got a nerf. It used to provide 10 food per instance of Food Scav. Now it's only 7. Something else is that now you can also sense food items like you do with the other scavenger cards. Heng also has, like I said, 10 food. So even though this is a nerf for the food scav card, the amount of food that you can get on the map hasn't really changed because Heng kind of makes up for that. It's a little bit different, but it pretty close comes out to even if you have Heng on your team. Belligerent's got a pretty big change. It used to be 5% increase in damage each time a horde is called up to 5 stacks. And if you took damage, you lost all of your stacks. Very different now. Now it's a 4% increase in damage each time a horde is called up to 6 stacks, so 24% versus 25%, pretty much the same. However, the way you lose stacks is very different. The way you lose stacks now is if anyone on your team is incapped or killed, I guess including yourself, that's how you lose stacks. So it's not as fragile as, oh, I took damage. Now it's more of a, if your team's doing really well, you win more kind of a vibe. All right, so really good for a really coordinated team. Your mileage may vary in quick play. I'd say one of the biggest ones here is that the diner is a very different level now. I don't really want to show it to you, but it's very different. It's much more exciting than it was before, so I encourage you to check out the diner when you get a chance. It's much shorter. It's only 4 minutes now, and other stuff happens, and again, it's just way more hectic. I'm a big fan of it. I like what they did with it. It definitely spices things up. On top of the fact that barbed wire does half the amount of damage that it used to, I think it kind of nerfs gray barbed wire more than it nerfs purple barbed wire, unfortunately. But I guess that's just the way it goes. I think barbed wire might be getting some more changes in the future. Some other big changes here. Frags now trigger things like, well, frags and pipe bombs now trigger things like the cultist traps. Oh my god, we have to talk about the legendary accessories. That's a huge thing I didn't even talk about yet. We'll get to those. But the embezzler now uses heavy ammo, which is like sniper or deagle ammo. It's not sniper ammo. People keep wanting to be, it's not sniper ammo. The deagle is not a sniper rifle, okay? It's heavy ammo. So now it uses heavy ammo, and the amount of copper you get back has changed. So instead of it being 10 on a mutation, it's now 25, which is really good for sniper farming in Act 5. And then commons also went from 3 to 5, and then you can also get more copper per level. The bow is going to spawn more. Tenderizer got some updates, and ooh, some things for the bots. The bots now use the skins that you have equipped on them, which is really cool. It's a nice way to actually see some of the skins that you have on all your cleaners. And also, if you ping a duffel bag, the bot will pick it up for you. Now there's a ton of extra bug fixes in here. I'm not going to go through all of them because you can go ahead and read it on your own. Some big ones that you might be wondering about, or probably the biggest one you're probably wondering about, is the AI module duping thing that people were doing. That's fixed now, so don't worry, no more people throwing infinite grenades because there being a bunch of poop heads inside your lobby, okay? That's fixed. But now, let's go ahead and wrap it up with all of the new accessories, the legendary accessories. I can't believe I almost forgot about them. Oh my god. So one of the first big ones that we have here is the gold pipe, or the money bomb. And what this thing does is, you know what? How about you just go ahead and take a peek? So let me just mosey around here and anger some things. Ta-da! It makes a different boop sound too. Uh-oh. Blew everything up. Well, we have copper here, and 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 I'm pretty certain this thing works with money grubbers, by the way. And we actually have two of them here. We have the iron supplements, and we have the taser. So the iron supplements gain health, that slowly decays over time, temporary health, but also you gain some armor plates, which is pretty sick. So let me just go ahead and crunch these down. Just like that. I have 4 armor plates. I don't know if it made a crunch sound, but you were too busy here trying to shoot me. By the way, the cultists, some of them have changed. I didn't even talk about that. The cultist archers are way smarter than they were before. They have more stumble HP, and they might have a little bit more HP. Also, the snipers had their HP bumped up from 20 to 75. I believe the slashers had their HP changed as well. So those are some of the changes going on with them. Again, there's a big list of changes on that patch notes thing. I highly encourage you to check it out. But now the taser here, instantly grapple when used, or stun mutations from long range. Efficient design grants this weapon a minimum of 3 reuse chances. Ooh, I'm gonna go see if I can use it on this guy. Oh God, I didn't mean to shoot it. Come here, buddy. Nope. Oh, did I whiff because it hit you instead? There, now I tased him. Rip. Either way, it's pretty cool when you hit stuff with it, especially if you got yourself a mutation nearby. Hopefully I can go ahead and not die over here. Huh! Gotcha! So stuff like that. It's actually really, really sick to use in practice. And now the final one here is the Cursed Key. Now what this does is it is a lockpick with a 100% reuse chance. So it is an infinitely reusable lockpick, which applies a 10% stacking debuff to ADS speed, swap speed, reload speed, and use speed. So something you can do with this bad boy is go ahead and be like, hello. And then you get keyed up here, and then that's gonna go ahead and lower some of your stats, but then you can get a free heal. And then you can do it again. Then you get a free heal. And you can do it again. I can't heal right now, but as you can imagine, you can just keep doing that over and over and over again. Now, it does mess with things like your reload, so you'll see I'm reloading much slower than I typically would be. But now I'm sure you can imagine how it's really nice for going ahead and making it so that you can get some free healing, maybe for you and your team, or let's say you want to not trigger Silence is Golden. You can go ahead and do a lot with this keyed up business here. You just gotta be a little careful and not let it get out of hand. I mean, something you could do is go ahead and do something with it, get 10%, and then drop it and give it to your buddy. They use it, and then you both have 10%, which is way less bad than if you yourself had 20%. Because then that way you can share the load and get a ton of value out of this thing. And then all those debuffs reset once you go into the next level. So there's a lot going on in this patch, as you can see. I hope I covered pretty much all of it. One thing that I forgot to mention, probably in the bug fixes, is that if you're wondering about the sound of thunder, that should be fixed now. You should have all those infinite specials at the end of Act 1 in the finale, so that should be fixed. But like I said, this will be in the patch notes down below. If I forget, please remind me. And I hope you guys like the update. There's a lot going on here, and I hope I covered a bunch of it for you. You got to see some of the legendary stuff, but go ahead, play it, enjoy it for yourself, and then I'll see you guys in the next live stream or the next video that we do around here. So, talk to you later, chat. Bye.